Today in the Senate, the Judiciary Committee passed on a party line vote a new federal restriction on the sale of assault weapons. It's been proposed by California Senator Dianne Feinstein. No Republicans voted for it. The bill includes a return to what used to be the law until 2004, a restriction on the sale of magazines that hold more than 10 bullets at a time. So that bill will now go to the full Senate. And so far, no Republicans have said they will support it. In debating it today, though, something kind of amazing happened in the Senate, and we have the tape of it. And so I want to show you the tape. But I want you to know that what's going to happen here at the beginning is that you will see the Republican senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, freshman senator, giving a little lecture about what he thinks is important in this discussion, giving this little lecture specifically to Senator Dianne Feinstein. But bear with me. Just sit through his little lecture for a second, because what you are watching for here, what you want to see, is the reaction to the lecture. Watch.
If I might pose a question to the senior senator from California, it seems to me that all of us should begin as our foundational document with the Constitution. And the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights provides that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The term, the right of the people, when the framers included it in the Bill of Rights, they used it as a term of art. That same phrase, the right of the people, is found in the First Amendment, the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition their government for redress of grievances. It's also found in the Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. And the question that I would pose to the senior senator from California is, would she deem it consistent with the Bill of Rights for Congress to engage in the same endeavor that we are contemplating doing with the Second Amendment in the context of the First or Fourth Amendment? Namely, would she consider it constitutional for Congress to specify that the First Amendment shall apply only to the following books and shall not apply to the books that Congress has deemed outside the protection of the Bill of Rights? Likewise, would she think that the Fourth Amendment's protection against searches and seizures could properly apply only to the following specified individuals and not to the individuals that Congress has deemed outside the protection of the Bill of Rights?
Would Senator yield for a question?
Let me just make a couple of points in response. One, I'm not a sixth grader. Senator, I've been on this committee for 20 years. I was a mayor for 9 years. I walked in, I saw people shot. I've looked at bodies that have been shot with these weapons. I've seen the bullets that implode. In Sandy Hook, youngsters were dismembered. Look, there are other weapons. I've been I'm not a lawyer, but after 20 years, I've been up close and personal to the Constitution. I have great respect for it. And so you know, I mean, it's fine you want to lecture me on the Constitution. I appreciate it. Just know I've been here for a long time. I've passed on a number of bills. I've studied the Constitution myself. I am reasonably well educated, and I thank you for the lecture. Incidentally, this does not prohibit, you use the word prohibit, it exempts 2,271 weapons. Isn't that enough for the people in the United States?
Mr.
Do
Chairman?
they need a bazooka? Do they need other high-powered weapons that military people use to kill in close combat? I don't think so. So I come from a different place than you do. I respect your views. I ask you to respect my views.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Durbin, it's not. Mr. Chairman, I can't add anything to that. Yeah. Senator Cruz.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask yet another question of the senior senator of California. I think nobody doubts her sincerity or her passion. And yet at the same time, I would note that she chose not to answer the question that I asked, which is, in her judgment, would it be consistent with the Constitution for Congress to specify which books are permitted and which books are not, and to use the specific number?
The answer is obvious, no.
Let the record show that you can be a United States Senator for 21 years. You can be 79 years old. You can be the chair of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and one of the most recognizable and most widely respected veteran public servants in your nation. But if you are female, while you are also all of those other things, men who you defeat in argument will still respond to you by calling you hysterical and telling you to calm down. They will patronize you and say they admire your passion, sweetie. But that, of course, they only deal in facts, not your silly, girly, strong feelings. It is inescapable. You can set your watch by it. Senator Feinstein, to her credit, went on to explain with facts and everything that the First Amendment does not stop us from regulating some forms of speech, like, for example, child pornography. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse then went on to say it is hard to imagine that it would be a violation of the First Amendment for somebody to yell fire in a crowded theater, but it would not be a violation of the Second Amendment to prevent someone from bringing a 100-round magazine into a crowded theater in, say, Aurora, Colorado. In other words, Senator Ted Cruz's argument is not the best argument on earth. But the message, the political message here is nevertheless clear. Dianne Feinstein was the president of the Board of Supervisors in the city of San Francisco in 1978, when she was suddenly, through an act of violence, forced to take over as that city's mayor.
This is the body of Supervisor Harvey Milk as it was taken from City Hall. Witnesses say after killing the mayor, White ran down the hall and fired 3 shots at Milk, killing him. In the total confusion after the shooting, the president of the Board of Supervisors, Dianne Feinstein, spoke.
Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed. The suspect is Supervisor Dan White.
A few moments later, Dan White surrendered to the police. This is a stunned city.
It was a stunned city after the San Francisco mayor and Supervisor Harvey Milk were shot dead in 1978. That is how Dianne Feinstein became mayor of San Francisco in 1978. And that's what she was talking about today to Ted Cruz when she talked about seeing the bodies, an incident in which she had to put her fingers into the bullet holes to try to find a pulse that she did not find. San Francisco was a stunned city again in 1993 when a gunman walked into an office at 101 California Street holding a pair of semi-automatic weapons. He had modified them so they could fire even faster than your typical semi-automatic weapon. With those weapons, he killed 8 people and he wounded 6 others before he killed himself. It was in reaction to that massacre at 101 California that then Senator Dianne Feinstein led the national fight for an assault weapons ban in 1994. And at the time, nobody said it would pass. But it did pass, and it was in effect for 10 years, while the Constitution survived and everything. President George W. Bush and the Republican-controlled Congress let that law expire 10 years later, in 2004. And because they let it expire, that is why the mother of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooter was able to buy, legally and easily, the Bushmaster AR-15 assault rifle that the Sandy Hook gunman used to fire all but one of 152 bullets that he fired in the space of less than 5 minutes that morning 3 months ago today in Connecticut. The gun that he used that day would have been illegal for his mother to buy. Had the Republican-controlled Congress and President George W. Bush not let Dianne Feinstein's law expire in 2004, the mother of the young man who killed those 21st grade kids, his mother from whom he took all his weapons, would not have been able to legally and easily buy those big 30-round extended magazines that we are told he used that day. Not the gun, nor the extended magazines. She would have only been able to legally and easily buy 10-round magazines, not 30-round magazines. So when he took those weapons from her that morning, he would have needed 15 separate 10-round magazines in order to reload 14 different times to try to do what he actually did so easily and so quickly thanks to the expiration of Dianne Feinstein's law in 2004. It is 3 months after Sandy Hook as of today. The bill to reinstate what used to be law, which we now know might have made a very large difference at Sandy Hook, that bill to reinstate what used to be law heads to the full Senate now. Everybody says the politics of this are impossible. Why should they be?